The iPhone Air is one of the most interesting phones that Apple has released in years because nothing about this phone should work, but it gave me one of the most enjoyable experiences that I've had in a long time.
Like when you look at the thin frame, the iPhone Air was designed to have bad battery life because of course size dictates capacity, and yet
It gets me damn near a full day every single day.
going back to its thin frame, it looks like it'd be uncomfortable to even hold, and yet it's one of the best in-hand experiences that Apple has ever given me.
It looks like it could snap in half if you stared at it wrong.
And yet, after 9 months of sliding into pockets, accidentally being dropped, and even getting sat on,
It's held up much better than phones twice its thickness.
it has one camera, no ultra wide, no zoom. On paper, it's practically a joke, and yet some of my favorite shots from the entire year came from this phone. It's got a titanium frame, the same titanium that I blamed on my iPhone 15 Pro Max cooking itself in my hand.
And yet this phone, with more limited internals and nowhere to put a cooling system, somehow stays cooler.
On paper, this phone is a complete downgrade. And not just from the top of the line 17 Pro, but I'm even talking from the cheaper iPhone 17.
The math says don't buy it, and the spec sheet says walk away. And here's the part that actually messes with me. Nothing about this phone follows the script of what a flagship should follow.
And yet, it might be one of the most ordinary phones that I've ever used, and I mean that as the highest compliment that I can give. Because here's the thing, the tech reviewer in me,
The guy who's supposed to tear into the limitations, the value, the missing lenses,
that guy is supposed to hate this phone. By every single metric that I'm trained to care about, I should. But then there's this other part of me, the little tech fan from years ago.
back when I bought the iPhone XR for no other reason than it was easy, it was simple, and it just worked.
That part of me picks up the iPhone Air and feels something that I haven't felt about a phone in a very long time. Relief. Because this isn't a phone that's trying to do everything. It's light, it's easy to hold, it doesn't overwhelm you, and it stays right inside the Apple ecosystem that you already live in, and yet still brings real quality to all of the places that actually matter.
This is a phone for people who just want simplicity in tech again.
So after 9 months of living with the most contradictory iPhone that Apple has made in years, I want to answer the one question that actually matters. Is the iPhone Air a beautiful mistake that the world was right to walk away from? Or did everybody get this one completely wrong?
Now, here's the thing that I need you to understand before I start complaining again.
This phone does have limitations next to the rest of the iPhone 17 lineup, and that's just a fact. But, and I do mean but, the Air is one of those phones where you buy it knowing exactly what you're signing up for. Smaller battery, knew it. One camera, knew it. And because I knew about its shortcomings, I made peace with them. Those compromises were the price of admission, and I paid happily. Two of the most hyped chargers of the year just showed up on my desk, and both have really cool features that make them different from your average everyday charger. See, fast charging makes your phone run hot, and heat is the one thing that quietly murders your battery over time.
The hotter it gets, the faster it will wear out.
So Anker built two chargers that fight that exact same problem in two completely different ways. Now the first one is the Prime 3-in-1 charger, phone, smartwatch, wireless earbuds, all on one device. And yeah, there are a ton of these on the market, but the real trick is that it has a hidden fan inside called air cool, and it's basically silent. It pulls about 30% of the heat out while you charge, and it takes my iPhone 17 from 0 to 50% in 26 minutes. And then there's this little guy right here, the Nano 45-watt charging brick, and yeah, it's got a screen on it. It literally recognizes your phone, shows you your battery percentage in real time, and runs way cooler than old silicon bricks, which is how they got it almost half the size and a third lighter than a normal 30-watt brick.
And then there's care mode that keeps it 36 degrees cooler and your battery 9 degrees cooler. Both of these chargers are very different because they have the exact same idea: protect the battery.
So if you guys are interested in any of these and just want the best charging experience possible, click the link in the description and comment section of today's video.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and read you guys a laundry list of nitpicks, but there were two things that actually got under my skin, and one of them I just couldn't forgive.
And let's start with that one. The speaker. Now the iPhone Air doesn't have stereo speakers. It has a single mono speaker firing right out of the earpiece at the top, and that grill that you see at the bottom is not a speaker at all, it's just mics.
Now this one was personal for me because if you didn't know, I'm an avid YouTube watcher.
I prop my phone up and play my favorite commentary videos while I'm doing the dishes, while I'm filming, and even while I'm in the shower, max volume so I can actually hear it over all the noise.
And with the Air, for the first time with any phone that I've ever owned, the water one.
My environment was louder than my phone at full blast, and that has never happened to me before. And then there's the last problem that really bothered me, and that was the price. Now, from the standpoint of somebody who actually walked in the store and handed over the money, I'm not sponsored by Apple, that $1,000 is very hard to fully justify.
And look, I don't regret buying it. It's more like this phone is really good, but it would be great if it were 200 bucks kinder to the wallet. And it does turn out that I am not the only one doing the math.
Now, according to US sales data for early 2026, the iPhone 17 Pro Max took 26% of the sales, the iPhone 17 Pro 24%, the base iPhone 17 23%, and when it came to the iPhone Air, just 5%, basically meaning that it's sold worse than the phone that it replaced, which is the iPhone 16 Plus. And not just that, but in this economy, people don't want to gamble. They don't want to spend a single dollar more than they have to right now. And right now, the Air is basically asking them to. But despite any of the problems that I've dealt with when it came to the iPhone Air, I kept coming back for more because the positives are much better than anything negative that I've experienced. And speaking of positives, let's start with the one that shocked me the most. The battery. Now, earlier in the video, I told you guys that I made peace with this battery being very small. 3149 milliamp hours is very tiny in 2026, but in real life, it gets me damn near a full day every single day. Scrolling through social media, making phone calls, not putting the most stress on the battery, but still using it throughout the whole day. And what really got me was that it didn't just last, but it lasts while being very light in the hand. Every other phone that gets me through a full day is basically a brick, but throughout my day, when I'm not using my Air, I forget that it's even in my pocket. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, this is where the 9 months do show. My battery health is at 97%, and on a heavy day, I'm looking for a charger by the evening. But again, on most days, there was light to moderate use. Charging was pretty standard, nothing special, but also nothing horrible. And one cool thing that I did like about this phone was whenever I put a MagSafe on the back, it feels like a regular phone, which made it easy to use with it on. Now, the thinness and basically the whole physical aspect of this phone is something else that still shocks me even months after owning it. And that's because it just doesn't make any sense. 5.6 millimeters, 165 grams. Again, when it's in my pocket, I completely forget that it's in there. And despite it being so thin, it still feels very premium, from the stainless steel feeling frame to the matte back, all the way down to the unwillingness to bend no matter how hard you try. This thing is still incredibly sturdy despite having historically flimsy physics. And one of the most notable experiences with this phone is just how it feels in hand. I can hold it for a very long periods of time without hurting my pinky, and it's also very comfortable, which was surprising since I usually hate holding skinny builds due to just how unnatural they are when coming from a normal phone. So yeah, 9 months later of being genuinely careless with this thing, this phone has not snapped in half. It's still very durable, shows no signs of major scratches, and it's my favorite build on an iPhone since the iPhone XR. Now, when it comes to the display, this is where all of it comes together for me. 6.5-inch OLED with real 120Hz Pro Motion still gave me that same quality as the Pro, but with the same satisfaction with the size as the Pro Max. The colors are genuinely vibrant, punchy without looking fake, blacks that actually go black thanks to the OLED. But here's the thing that made me fall even more for it. It's not that the screen is beautiful, it's the fact that I'm holding this beautiful screen on a phone that basically weighs nothing. I watched a ton of YouTube propped up, and there were many times where I'm holding it over my face in bed. The lightness makes the screen better, and it's kind of like they feed off of each other. Even when it came to holding it outside, it pushes up to 3000 nits peak brightness, which was nice whenever I shot in direct sunlight. Even watching videos inside, everything looked well fleshed out, clean, punchy, and just like the build and the battery gave me an overall quality experience. Now, when it came to power, they put the A19 Pro chip in here, and based on my experience and day-to-day, nothing slows this phone down, and the benchmarks sit right up there with actual Pro models. Light to moderate use. I lean on this phone, I edit photos on it, I've always got 15 plus apps open, and I run my whole day through it. Never once has it stuttered, never made me wait. But one thing that did affect this phone physically was that there was no vapor chamber cooling system. So there were times where I'm using my phone only in moderate to heavy use where it would get warm closer to the camera bar. It was nowhere near as bad as I thought it would be, but it still was pretty noticeable. Then you have the camera. The one thing that I was very sure I was going to resent when I bought this phone. No lens, no ultra wide, no zoom on a $1,000 phone. Again, every single bone in my reviewer body said that that was indefensible. And yet, some of my favorite shots of the whole year came off of this single camera. The colors were vibrant, the quality of the main camera was still reminiscent of my 17 Pro Max, and as you guys can see here, day-to-day photos are up there with the best that Apple has to offer. But I'm not gonna lie, I did miss ProRAW. Yes, I did miss shooting in log, and I did miss having more lenses, but again, I knew exactly what I was getting into when I bought this phone. Software on the Air was very stable in day-to-day life. I would get the occasional hiccup every once in a while, but other than that, it was the exact same experience that I got on my 17 and 17 Pro Max. And in terms of longevity, you also get 7 years of software support, which basically means that this phone will be up to date until 2032. But iOS updates on older phones have been really buggy, so by iOS 29 or 30, I'm not really sure if this phone will run well without really getting hot. So yeah, 9 months later, and I keep coming back to the same thought. Nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing about this phone should have worked. The battery was too small, the frame was too thin, one camera, one speaker, and a price that just didn't make sense. Every single spec on paper told me to walk away, and I didn't. I kept coming back every single day. And for me, the iPhone Air is a solid 8 out of 10. And I already know how that sounds. A phone with one camera, one speaker, and one battery scoring that high. But for me personally, a number was never just a spec sheet. It's what a phone is intended for, the overall value, and it's how a phone feels to live with. And for the iPhone Air, I reached for it every morning, knowing everything wrong with it, and still picked it up anyway. Peace.